Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Mind Hack 101. I'm your host, Rose Williams. And that lovely soul you see in the corner is Mr. Nigel Godwin. And he is from the United Kingdom. And he's based in Birmingham, UK. All right. So he is an author of Self-Development. So can you tell us how you started your writing career?
Well, I started writing. It started as poetry many years ago. I went through a very bad period of depression through losing work and divorce and one thing and another, and I started to write poetry about it, about the thoughts that were going on in my head.
Okay.
And as time went on, I wrote songs as well with music as a way of expressing myself and getting the feelings out that were inside me. Sort of being creative with the negative things that had gone on in my life up to then, and positive things.
Okay.
Um, okay, so it's been a long time, a long process, a long learning process, really. I'm still learning now, I still write poetry, I still paint, I still write songs, and I'm very interested, as you mentioned, in personal development. I've written a book of poetry, which I hope inspires others, some years ago, called God First, and it's available on Amazon.
Okay.
And personal development, I've been involved in now for about 2.5 years. Um, Basically to help myself and to help others with what I've learned.
Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you some questions. Okay. So you said you're from Birmingham, United Kingdom. Have you ever been
Yes.
to the United States?
Yes, I have actually. When I got married 30 years ago,
Wow.
we had a honeymoon in Florida. We went to Orlando. We had a week in Orlando, and I had a car there. I remember, and we drove down to the Everglades, which I enjoyed all the holiday, to be honest. Sadly, the marriage is over, but we had a good honeymoon and a good experience in America,
That's good.
especially especially the food.
Oh, you like the food?
Oh yes.
Okay. I've been to the United Kingdom many times myself.
Oh
Um,
great.
I was in and about around Hungerford. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah. And visited. I love the museums. I
great.
just love the
Well,
culture and everything in the United Kingdom. Yeah.
what about the size of it? We're so small compared physically the country compared to America.
Is that I guess it's about the size of Texas. I guess England is about the size of Texas. You can put England
So
into
minute.
Texas. 60 miles across. Is that correct? About 60 miles across.
Yes, just a tiny little
Tiny little
tiny
country. They
track.
think yeah, people here in America think England is a big country.
It's tiny.
Yeah, tiny.
So, what was your favourite place where you went then? Just out of interest, Rose, where did you like in England,
Oh,
UK?
I think I would say I loved Wales. I love Wales. I love
Wales,
Wales.
yes,
I
Wales is
love
nice.
Wales. I love Wales. And I went to where Doc Martin films. Are you familiar with Doc Martin?
Yes, the boots.
Yeah. I actually stayed in that hotel for a while. Um, I fell in love
Cool.
with Wales. I fell in love with Wales, and that's really where Princess Diana and Prince Charles reigned, basically down in
That's right.
Wales,
Yeah,
and it's near the
Prince of
sea.
Wales.
Yeah, so it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and I think I love the Cornish pasties. Oh, I love them. I could live on those.
Cornish pasties.
Yeah. So if you ever go to England, go down to Wales, Bristol. I barely marked spending time in Bristol. I have a friend that lives in Bristol. Haven't spent a lot of time there at all, but I really spent a lot of time down in Wales. I loved it.
There's yeah. I mean, Wales is lovely. It's lovely place. I've been there many times. Yeah.
But you haven't had a chance to come back to America.
Well, I've got a chance to spin on. I've been friends with an American artist, a fellow artist, Elizabeth, who lives in Georgia.
Oh, where I just came from.
which is where near Atlanta, where you were visiting recently, I believe.
Yep, that's quite well. Yeah.
We've been friends for about 10 or 12 years, and through the computer, we've never met.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we keep saying, I ought to go over, she ought to come over here, but it never materialises. So maybe one day.
Mm. Maybe it'll be sooner than you think. You never know.
You
Okay,
never know.
so is your poetry? Let me get back to the writing aspect. Your
Yes, yeah.
poetry, does it rhyme or is just straight poetry?
There's different ones, to be honest, Rose. I've written rhyming poems, I've written non-rhyming poems. I've written haiku, which is a Japanese form of poetry, which is it's a 3-line poem, but it's 5, 7, 5 syllables. And you think, well, that should be easy enough to write a little poem in 3 lines with those syllables, but you have to make the poem make sense and get a point across. And well, you don't have to, but that's the sort of the purpose of it. And it's I like that form of poetry, haiku, Haiku. It's Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I write rhyming poetry and I write non-rhyming poetry. And answer your question, yeah.
Okay. So out of all of your, I guess everybody have their own favorite self-development person. Would it be who would it be?
Yes, that has to be the Canadian Bob Proctor.
You like Bob Proctor?
Who
Yeah.
recently died a while ago.
Yeah, he just passed. He just passed.
He was 87, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so yeah, I got introduced to Bob Proctor through a course I did, and I've just loved his work since. And he's led me on to other authors as well. It's been a bit of a snowball, to be honest. But definitely Bob Proctor. I like his approach. Very smart man, intelligently smart, and also very smart. His clothes and his dress sense, and he helped a lot of people in his life, to live a better, in quotes, life, to get a better life.
Exactly. I like Bob Proctor myself, but I have other people as well. This other guy is a Canadian, John Kehoe. He's a Canadian. I took one of his courses, Mind Power for the 21st Century. I still look at Neville Goddard about the feeling.
Neville Goddard, yes, I've got a book, yeah.
And I met a friend of mine. He's from Nigeria, Mr. Tim Ayala. He took a Bob Proctor course as well. And he and I met on a site. We met on a site pretty much like, well, they were talking about not The Secret. They were talking about Think and Grow Rich. We met up.
Yes.
Him and I met on a site.
That's a great book. I've read that book.
Think and Grow Rich. But he went even further to enroll. He did like you. He enrolled in a Bob Proctor course, and he does a course now that takes you on a 66-day, I would say, love affair. He always says fall in love. But there are many tangles to this, I would say, metaphysics. Would you call it metaphysics?
Yeah, metaphysics.
It's a journey, of course. It's a journey. But sometimes you can be frustrated. Do you agree?
I was overwhelmed by it all at the start because I thought there's so much to learn here. I'm never going to understand all this. But that was a paradigm. That was my negative mind telling me that I couldn't do it. I've learned a lot. I mean, I've always got 2 books on the go. I've got 2 I'm reading at the moment. Not Bob Proctor, but and it's also allowed me to get access to lovely people like yourself, if you don't mind me saying.
I don't mind at all.
Who are working in the same, we're both Christians, but we've got a love of metaphysics, as you called it, and growing as a person in order to help yourself and to help others, which I think is beautiful.
Would you say it's more, if someone had tell you to explain the difference from being a Christian to being someone who's metaphysics, do you believe you're more Christian or you more metaphysics?
Well, I'm more Christian, Jesus is the answer. I think there's things that as scientists we may never find out. We're never going to find out how God's mind works. if he has a mind, we're not going to work. I don't think we'll ever understand how God works because we haven't got the powers that God's got. I could be wrong. I take metaphysics as a sort of a hobby, stroke interest, stroke something I'm interested in. Whereas my faith comes first. My Christian faith comes first.
Okay.
Yeah.
I talked to Tim about it. Tim says that it's more than that. You have to not make excuses. You go the extra mile. Do you think when people say when something happens to them, I think the hardest part is for them to believe that they caused it themselves? What do you think?
Well, back to Bob Proctor, and other people who've talked about it, we have to be careful what we think because what we think becomes reality.
Correct.
All the things you've got in your room around you, you have created them. You've seen a picture somewhere and you've bought it. You've seen a duvet cover and you've bought that. You've seen a lamp. So it started off in your mind, but it's actually become reality. So what we think about. I mean, I've got a quote on my wall by Earl Nightingale. We become what we think about.
Yeah.
Earl Nightingale.
Yeah, Earl Nightingale. Yeah.
So we have to be careful what we think, and the Bible does say to commit every thought to Christ, which is difficult sometimes, especially when there's lots going on and we're having a bad day or we're not feeling very well.
Do you watch do you watch a lot of TV? Do you watch TV? You don't.
No, not much.
I think. Go ahead.
No, I like to watch some of the news just to get an overview of what's going on. I don't watch soaps, and I like a film occasionally, but I've got 3 televisions in my apartment, and they're hardly ever on. So I'm on my computer a lot, doing things like this, projects like this with yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in your book, how many poems are written in your book? Is it more like a coffee table book?
There's quite a lot of. There's about 6 or 7 chapters. Areas. There's poems about God. There's poems about love. There's poems about nature. So there's about 6 or 7 chapters, and there's poems on each. And one of my paintings, because I actually paint as well, and one of my paintings is a relevant painting is used for each chapter to give you sort of a little feel for what poetry is going to come along.
Okay.
And as we said earlier, there's rhyming poems and there's non-rhyming poems, depending on what I've decided to do at that time.
Okay. Are you working on any new material?
I'm working on an oil painting at the moment, a landscape.
Oh, so you're a painter as well?
Yeah, painting oils. I started in watercolours nearly 20 years ago, self-taught. But I prefer oils. You can't see them from here, but I've got a few of my oils on the walls in this living room, but you can't see them with the camera. There's one there, there's one there, and there's one there. And friends and family have got paintings that I've done over the years.
You should have one for us to see the next time I interview you.
Well, I can send you my website link with some of
Go ahead and tell the people your website, Nigel. Tell them your website.
It's www.Nigel Godwin, that's all one word, NIGELGOODWIN .CREVADO.com. So that's www.nigelgodwin.crevado.com.
Okay, all right.
It's got samples. It's a free website to use, but it's got samples of my art, my poetry, and my songs on there. So there's just samples.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Well, that's good. That's good. What else I want to ask you? When you first published, because when was this book published?
The poetry book, about 5 or 6 years ago, when I lived at a different place to where I am now.
Okay.
I've not managed to get it promoted and published. I've got it published, but it needs to be marketed properly for people to. At the time, I wasn't familiar with it. You need to let people know, and people need to know that you've written a book.
Exactly.
You've got to get it marketed, and that was it involved maybe like funds to get it marketed, and at the time I didn't do it.
Okay.
The book's written, and it's ready to be marketed anytime. Again.
Maybe you should reach out to our last guest. He is very knowledgeable about how to get a book done. He's written
RJ, yeah.
R.J.
I watched,
Davis. He has
I watched
4
the video
novels.
earlier.
Well, this will be the
Yeah.
4th novel. His book dropped today, and it's called Street Justice.
Yes, I had a look at
And
Amazon.
it debuted at number 24, I believe. It debuted
24, yeah.
yeah.
24.
So that's a good position.
Mm-hmm.
And we wish him the best. So maybe you could
Definitely.
reach out to him, and maybe he can offer you some ways to promote your book or some suggestions.
Yeah, I mean, the manuscript's on my computer. It's just a question of maybe reformatting it or whatever, however people, whatever they want, and then selling it, then printing it and selling it. Well, not printing it. People order it from Amazon or wherever, and then they get the book sent to them.
And because he does this, have you ever thought about maybe releasing a couple of pages for just, I guess, a tease? Yeah.
No,
Maybe
no,
you
no.
should come online and just read a couple of pages, and get the
Yeah,
people a little taste to see what it's all about, and go
definitely.
from
Yeah,
there. That's what a lot of people do today.
yeah. Just read a few of the my short favourite ones. That's just gonna give people an appetite, or a teaser for what the rest of the book's about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good ideas. See, I never had these ideas back then. You see, I need someone like you back then. You see, to help me.
It's good to promote things. People don't know you're out there unless you get on
Exactly.
social media and talk about things.
I'm not
And
a person I'm not a boasting person. Really. You have to sell yourself, and maybe I've got a bit of a paradigm about that. That I can't do that, or I shouldn't do that. When I really could. Because God does say in the Bible, "Don't hide your light under a bushel."
exactly.
You're supposed to let our light shine to glorify God.
You have social media. I mean, you can pick anyone you want to spend time with. I mean, I'm not on Instagram. Well, I have some followers on Instagram, but I don't really get on Instagram.
No, I don't use
I'm
it. I
mostly
have got
on
it.
Facebook and YouTube. That's where I am. But there are all kinds of other things I could get on, and maybe that would do me some good. But me working, I still work. So I work full time.
Yes,
So
I
it's
know.
only so many hours in a day. So I try to start off with a telecast.
You do very
I
well.
I don't
You
do it
should be.
every day because some days I'm bush. I don't do it. And then I have other things that I try. I blog as well. I blog, and then I do things on Facebook as well. Because this has always been a passion of mine to just try to help other people online and eventually have a brand of some sort. And that's where a lot of stuff is coming and going on these days, is online.
Hmm.
So you should think about some of these other platforms. That's just a suggestion.
Yes, thanks. Yeah, I'll have to have a word with RJ.
You should. You should.
I've got my pen. I'll make a note. RJ.
You also um you also sell some things online as well, correct?
Yeah, I've the last few years, last couple of years, because of COVID, and my degree's in information technology. My degree's in computer science, and that's what I've done most of my life. Well, all my life, working life. And when COVID came along, I thought, well, I'm going to start working from home. I want to do something online from home.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried a few network marketing companies, and wasn't very good at it to start. But I'm with a company called FM World. They sell fragrances, perfumes, candles, diffusers, all kinds of things like that. They're sort of copies, but they're inspired copies. They're sort of very similar to it's the same ingredients, but a different, cheaper packaging.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been selling that for a month now. About a month I've been working with them.
Oh, okay.
And it's been going pretty good so far to start, I've sold quite a few things, and it's going really well.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. What was your publishing company that you used to write your book?
Amazon.
Oh, you went through Amazon. You went through
Yeah.
Amazon.
Amazon,
Okay.
yeah.
Was that an easy process?
Pretty much, because the manuscript is on the computer. I've got all the poems typed. All I had to do was copy my poems and put them into order, and that was the book. I mean, it took a long time to write all the poems, but to do the book itself, not very long at all.
How long? When you say not long at all?
Well, it's a question of just deciding what poems I wanted and putting them in an order in each section, i.e. God, love, nature, miscellaneous. There's about 5 or 6. I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but there's 5 or 6 sections. So I put the poems into those categories. Yeah.
Okay. So you would suggest that you go through Amazon if you had to do over again?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying I use it.
You use Amazon. So what I guess
you might have improved since then. There's probably other ways of doing it now.
So what I'm trying to see, it doesn't. You would come out better having a production company, it seems, or a publishing company.
Yes.
Than doing it on Amazon, because Amazon doesn't do the promotion or the marketing. Right. Okay. Gotcha. That's what I wanted the people to know. Another question I have for you. If you had to mentor someone and tell them about poetry and writing, what would you suggest?
I'd say write what goes on inside your mind, and be yourself, and don't mainly I would say don't let others try and put you off. Do it in your own way, in your own style, because that's in the past. If you look at great artists and poets and writers, they did things in their way. Van Gogh painted like Van Gogh. Yeah, the music of Mozart is Mozart. It's not copied off anyone else. It's their style. So be your own person and don't let people put you off.
Okay. All right. That sounds good.
Yeah.
You think you could teach somebody to write? You think you could be a teacher?
I could help some. Yeah, I think I could with poetry. Yeah, I could help someone to the insides of poetry and how to write poetry. I couldn't, that the inspiration has to come from them. They have to decide how to structure and how to get ideas and how to work with a poem. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Start off with the
black. That's an option, until you've just mentioned it.
Started from the blank page. I mean, we got a lot of young people out here who want to write, who aspire to write, and they may not have a lot of mentors, or they may not have somebody who's willing to point them in the right direction. And you have some wisdom that you can give back to someone.
Yeah, I've helped a friend, this Elizabeth, who I mentioned earlier, my friend in Georgia, because she's a fellow artist, and I've sort of pointed at some, we've shared a lot of things over the years, and I've pointed some art things, techniques for her to try that she's used successfully. So I've done a little bit of mentoring, but not with the intention of doing it, not with the just doing it as a friend to Elizabeth.
So she's a writer as well?
No, she just mainly paints. She doesn't really write. It's the painting that I've helped her with, some of the things about painting.
Well, I like to blog. Do you blog?
No, I've never have. No.
Never?
Never. Maybe I should. Maybe that's something else I'll write on my pad. Blog.
Well, if you do, I know someone that will do your website for you, and you can just go on like that. Because I have a podcast as well, and I blog. But I do that on the Anchor platform. Yeah, I do that on the Anchor platform. I don't think I'm really consistent enough. I mean, I do a couple of things, but I have a lot of messages on Anchor, and I have a lot of blogs on Anchor. So it's just the point of getting the word out that you have a product.
That's right. It's networking. It's like network marketing. You've got to tell people. You've got to message people and tell people. Otherwise, they're not going to know, are they?
That's true.
You've got to send it out to the world.
That's true. That's true.
And thankfully, we've got the technology to do that now with internet and with Zoom and so on and FaceTime, and we've got the technology to do it.
Yeah, we do. We do. We have that technology to do that kind of stuff, which is marvelous. We just have to take advantage of the technology that we
Yep. Thank
have.
you, Lord, for the technology.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So, um, could you let's just the next well, if you were working on the next book, what would it be about? If you was working on one.
Oh, you should say that. I started writing another book of poems because I've written a lot of poems over the years. I mean, I've probably written 300 or more poems. I've written loads, and I was going to write another book. But I thought, well, I started to put it together. I thought, well, you didn't get much success with the first one, so I've left it. It's like it's on the back burner at the moment.
Uh-huh.
I would like to write a novel of some sort, maybe one day, a short story or collection of short stories or something. But I've never had the. You've got to have a good idea. People who write books, they come up with something that's original and a good idea, and I think that would be a challenge. Maybe
That's
another poem book.
I haven't written a poem book. I've written a book about
Yeah.
a true life event. And I'm hoping, I always say, well, the last 2 years I've been saying, oh, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I've written it, but I haven't gotten down to, where I'm going to release it at. But I have pretty much written it. I may have to do some rewrites, but I pretty much have written it. But
Brilliant.
I understand it's a process. But it takes time like anything else. But I want to thank you, first of all, for being on Mind Hack 101.
Thank you for
Thank you so
asking.
much. Right. Thank you so much for your support. I mean, sometimes it gets hard trying to do a show like that, but you always encourage me, and I appreciate it. So we said we were only going to go 30 minutes. We're at the 27-minute mark. I'm going to let you have the last word. So
Yeah.
anything you want to tell the people?
Yeah, well, I think a bit like I talked about poetry and art. Be yourself. Do what you want to do. Art and poetry are subjective. What one person likes, someone doesn't. So just do what you want to do and be confident to do that. Have the confidence to believe in yourself.
All right. There you have it. There's the man, Mr. Nigel Godwin from Birmingham, England. He is the man of self-development. And I am Rose Williams, host of Mind Hack 101. This video will be uploaded shortly. It will be on YouTube as well as Facebook. Thank you guys so much for your support. Bye-bye.